Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, White Power at its best. I'm bringing you this program this week based on an incredible confession and promise by an NBA player. And I can't recite his words. I believe that people should look to Google privileged by NBA player Kyle Korver, and just read what he had to say. Now, this weekend opens the NBA playoff season for the 2018-2019 season. And of course, we have my website, and I have to ask the question, why would someone have a website named NBADoesn'tCare.com? Well, it's because of my observations. And my observations of how the NBA, which is 75% black players, and really doing well, I am accusing the NBA of not caring about black folks and the things that matter to black folks the most. Then, oh my goodness, this gentleman, Kyle Korver, who plays for the Utah Jazz, I wrote this piece and put it on my website. But if you notice the blackened area, if you do go to NBADoesn'tCare.com and you look up hot links and you see this young man's face, which is the latest post, which should change, Kyle Korver had an incredible admission and confession and determined to do something about it. But the NBA has the players, I guess, have a thing that they call the Players Tribune. And one of the latest entries on the Player Tribune is by this Utah Jazz player, Kyle Korver. And he writes a story. And I think that it is a great read for anybody, regardless of race, to get an understanding on what's going on in white America, if you will. Now, I have to confess that there is a little bit that I think that he got off wrong. But let me tell you the story as best as I can. Kyle Korver used to play in New York with a teammate who was arrested late one night, and the police in New York broke his leg. Now, Kyle Korver was one of his best friends. But Kyle Korver was in bed when this uh, Sefolosha is his name. Uh, he was out, I guess, partying late night, and this incident happened. He was arrested. And Corver admitted his first thought on this young man who's not from this country. His father is from South America. But Corver, who thought of so highly of this teammate of his, he in this article says that, you know, that's the guy he goes to for advice. But instead of giving his friend the benefit of the doubt, he just believed that his friend was in the wrong and saying, "What are you doing out here at late night?" Whatever. Well, fast forward, the NBA player Sefolosha had a trial. He was acquitted of all charges. Then he turned around and sued the police and won that too. And that ate at Kyle Corver for quite some time, as he tells it in this story. And so what he did was he realized that there was something else coming up. And this Kyle Corver realized that when his team was playing, his new team, the Utah Jazz, was playing Oklahoma City, another NBA player by the name of Russell Westbrook got into it with a fan. And the fan called Russell Westbrook, who's black, a racial slur. And so then Kyle Corver realized something's not right here. He realized that he could fade back into his whiteness in the crowd. Black people can't do that. But the thing is he had a few other revelations, or an epiphany, if you allow me, where he realized if he, a white man, was out late at night in that New York incident, he didn't think that he would get arrested, much less end up with a broken leg over it. He also realized that in Utah, where he's now a player for the Utah Jazz, the insults of the fans weren't hurling insults at white people. They hurled insults at blacks. So he realized what happened to Russell Westbrook wouldn't have happened to him on the racial issue. And so he realized something's not right here. He recognized in those incidents, and I'm sure others, hey, you can't just sit back and just because you're white and let this go on. He was realizing that it is high time, past time really, that he step up to the plate. And in stepping up to the plate, call out people who do racist things and support issues where racism can be defeated if more white people were not so shy about talking about racism. Now, where I said that I have a little problem is he said that one of the first things that he was going to do is find out the history of racism. Because you can get a million different versions of the story. I suggest he work on the racism that's here and present today. And if you work on the racism that's here and present today, you'll realize, oh, there's an awful lot of stuff that, we can talk about. Oh, I just lost my. Well, that's the way it goes, folks. That picture you saw briefly was the suspect in a church bombing. See if I can get it back. No, I can't. Well, turns out there was a church bombing in New Orleans. And 3 churches were not bombing, arson. Well, this gentleman by the name of Holden Matthews was arrested. His father is a sheriff in that same town or area. 21 years old, and he's running around full of hate and burning down black churches. I heard an interview where one of the pastors for the church and the Reverend Al Sharpton, that I really have a problem with, were speaking. And it didn't even dawn on me. What needs to happen is people need to step up and try and, send money towards these 3 particular churches to help build them up again. Sure, if they're churches, arson, they might have insurance. But I'm saying that where is white America when it comes to helping to make a statement? We do not support white people burning down black churches. The best way you can handle that is help build those churches. I haven't heard $1 went towards the rebuilding of these churches. Now, I'm sure there is, but why isn't it being reported? So, I'm saying that white people at their best, recognizing we have a problem here to where we need to step up and be more vocal against the wrong and help out by making sure that we do our part, white people. And I'm saying that if white people will use their white power in a positive way, equal to those who are doing white power in a negative way, there will be a balancing out here to where we will make progress. Now, when this Kyle Korver of the Utah Jazz had his epiphany, and he woke up and he said, hey, if you're going to wear my jersey or come see me play, know this one thing. I ain't down with all of that racism stuff. And so he said, put on my jersey, you're basically are not down with that either. Well, that's fine and dandy. And he said that he was going to step up. Well, I have a challenge for him. I sent him through Twitter some issues of racism in San Francisco. And I'm telling you, I know, look, he gets 300,000, has 2 or 300,000 followers. Well, if he has 2 or 300,000 followers, he doesn't have to see my tweet. One of his followers, and one of those followers should be able to look into racism and try and be a part of helping out and doing what they can to fight against racism. That would be white power at its best. Now, I understand people say a lot of things, They have big dreams and big hopes. Oh, we're going to cure this. We're going to cure that. We're going to stop this. We're going to stop that. And then when it comes to actually doing it, they'll realize it's much tougher than just coming out your mouth and, your hopes and dreams. And so the issue is sure, being an NBA player, oh, you got to be tough. You can't let people just push you around. Well, Kyle Korver's been in the league, I don't know, 15, 16 years. I don't know, maybe even longer. He's towards the end of his career. What is he going to do? Is he going to take his white power and use it for the fight against racism? I think that would be best. Because this beautifully put together article that he wrote cannot be buried. I have said of the NAACP that the NAACP has gone from torch bearers carrying the message to pall bearers burying the message. Well, I'm saying the same, I'm giving the same warning to Kyle Korver. Do not be a pallbearer for this great article that you penned. Be a torchbearer. Let people hear the message. Don't let it just die. Lack of use, lack of nourishment. Kyle Korver, sharpshooter for the Utah Jazz, has a great message. He has a great story, a great awakening. I didn't do it justice by telling it. You should read it for yourself. So go to NBADoesn'tCare.com, click on the hot links because you'll see other stories that I have there, and his pictures there. Do it that way, or just Google Kyle Korver privileged. Either way, read the message. And then reach out to Kyle Korver. He's on Twitter. And let him know that you, too, are willing to help out in this situation. Now, when Kyle Korver first said that he was going to learn more on the history of racism, that's a bad thing. But I recommend everyone find a book that is titled, What is Wrong with Being Black? Now, the book may be out of print. You might find it in a library. But I am telling you, I don't read many books, but I read that book and I was blown away. And the reason why I was blown away was the Nigerian preacher in London who wrote it. He did his homework. Now, was he perfect? No. There were some things in the book that I didn't like. But I'm telling you, he too basically hit the nail on the head. How? He basically was saying racism, slavery was not white folks' fault, but they happened to, my words, patent it. And so, though this author of this book, can't pronounce his name, did not blame white folks for racism, he didn't let them off the hook for being racist. He didn't blame white folks for slavery. but he didn't let them off the hook for being slave masters. And he talked about how there are certain people here in the United States, black leaders, doing a disservice to the black uh, race here in America. I couldn't have agreed with him more. But the reason why I recommend that all, including Kyle Korver, read that book is because there's an awful lot of stuff running around and floating around. And you going to pick up some of the stuff and think that it's truth. It ain't truth at all. And so for people to read or research for themselves, that's the best thing. And I mean, if you have to be in a room with a computer by yourself and just learning whatever, you'll be able to, with God's help, figure out how best to put together a strategy to where you too, as a white person, can use your white power to defeat racism. In San Francisco, I'm telling you, I am blown away by the fact that our city government, how it treats its black citizens, and at the same time claim to be supporters of black people. I really don't get it. And to see where this issue in San Francisco is so bad, to where I have decided to boycott San Francisco International Airport because of some of the racist acts that San Francisco city leaders are doing. One must say, well, wait a minute. How are you going to boycott an airport just because of what City Hall is doing? Well, go to NBADoesn'tCare.com and you'll find out. Poke around. You will see some unbelievable stories on how San Francisco city leadership is treating black people. And they're now going to honor a white former politician at San Francisco International Airport who was an apologist and a defender of a mass murderer of black people. I don't get it. And when I called the chief of staff and told the chief of staff of the sponsor of this piece of legislation or ordinance to rename a terminal at SFO after Harvey Milk, when I called her and I asked her a few questions, she said, oh, well, I didn't know that. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, I didn't know that. And I says, well, if all of this happens, how are you honoring this man when this is his baggage? And she said to me, we all make mistakes. And when I responded, well, do you want to repeat those mistakes? Then she had to get off the phone. Later on that day, the Board of Supervisors unanimously passed the measure spending $6 million to erect a signage on SFO honoring Harvey Milk, who was elected to the Board of Supervisors by followers of the Reverend Jim Jones, a cult leader here in San Francisco in 1977. They were murdered the following year. Now, that's reprehensible. But right now, people are not hearing of this. Sure, I tried my best by posting it. The local media here, they're not going to talk on this issue. Why? They're scared of the LGBTQ community. They are not going to interrupt their gay icon's honor just because this person supported a mass murder. It doesn't make any sense. You have to come up with something more. Think of it this way. If you know who Harvey Milk is, or you do research, first of all, I suggest you too, and Kyle Korver, get a book that was published last year titled Cult City. It tells the whole story in it. And if you just think, my objection to honoring of Harvey Milk on SFO is based on the fact that, and I admit it, most of the 900 people who were murdered or in this mass suicide in Guyana were black. I admit it. But think of it this way. I'd be just as mad if the 900 were white. Because you don't honor somebody who defends a mass murderer. In no way, shape, or form. Can you imagine a statue for the wife of Hitler erected somewhere? Or one of Hitler's best friends erected somewhere? No. The fact is, San Francisco is honoring a friend of someone who killed almost 900 black San Franciscans. And I'm saying that that's not right. But I'm looked at as, Alan, this is a new day. That's just old. Leave it alone. Go on and do something else. Well, no, that's not the way it works. And I'm saying that in San Francisco, it's not just going to be black people standing up to where we're going to win. We need white power. We need white power at its best. And white power at its best is not shying away when somebody talks race. I have said that I think that it's funny how white folks try and tell black people when and when not to play the race card. It's funny to me. With all of the history that you can think of, the nerve to try and tell black people when and when not to talk race is ridiculous. Another thing, I am not afraid to play the race card. In my defense, I did not shuffle the cards, I did not cut the cards, and I certainly was not allowed to deal the cards. I'm merely playing the hand that was dealt. And when you go to NBADoesn'tCare.com and you see the racism that I have chronicled that is happening here in San Francisco, well, I can't put it all on there. I'm just putting on some of the more egregious acts. And you see all of that on there, you multiply that by 1,000 because that's what's going on. And you, white power at its best, can help. Until next time, God bless.